All right. Here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's get started lecture here. The potency of the digital innovation pavilion with the sponsors CIAAI Russia Italy, the Climate Change Coalition, and the Rotary adaptation and excellence, the environmental and sustainability Rotary Action Group of Rotary International. What we're doing here today is what it will take very, very long time to do, which is launching a flag. Launching a flag is like a stepping a new friend in the circle, and that friend will become not only your friend, but your body, your partner in service. And for that, we have a distinguished group of Rotarians here, and I just need to first apologize because our governor, Jose Leonardo, for very bad reasons, he could not be here. He had a nephew that was involved in a traffic accident. He needed to go back to the interior of Egypt to Palauperas city here as well. So here we have President-elect, the President 2025 for the Rotary International, former director, former trustee, Mario Cesar Martins Camargo, and we have both the past president of Rotary Club of Bonn International, Toby Sanker, who is also our host. No, our what can I define this for? You guys are running this class. UNFCCC at the time. And among the folks we have local actors, we have Rotarians, we even have background music. So Diego, you have some contribution again today. And let's get the session going. I will pass the floor to Mario to explain what is the launching of a new Rotary club. Nobody better than you to give us a sense of what it is. Please explain, please relate your Rotary solution a little bit and where you got started to Rotary. Up to now. Good afternoon, everyone. We're watching. Thanks for being here with us. I started Rotary right after I came back from the States. And I was an exchange student in Minnesota in the far year of 74, 75. Most of you were not even born. And I was already an exchange student. It's already was 1 year old. I was already 18, so I started very early. I joined early when I was 23, and went up all the way to become president last time. Unfortunately, for personal reasons, I have to stop down. But I continue to do it regardless of positions because I think more important than the position you hold is the result that you deliver. To create a new form is like having a new kid. Here, a new type. It requires a lot of time, it requires a lot of patience, it requires a lot of connection, it requires a lot of convincing. We have a good product, but sometimes our product is not well understood. We have to make sure that we are inducting a member that's worthwhile belonging to the institution. So the selection process is fundamental to the quality of the rulership. Some people ask me, Mario, this club was started based on a political term. It's good. Nothing good can come out of a bad beginning. If you don't begin your club right, with the right philosophy, with the right members, with the right connections and fellowship, you are doomed. You are not going to survive for too long. I've seen it happen all over the world. That is what we hurry up the process of starting a new club. We need to meet the district governor's goal. I have for this year, 25-26, a very bold target. I wanted every single assistant governor to charter a new club, provided that they would meet the quality that we need. If you're going to charter a club that doesn't meet the quality standard, don't do it. You're bound to have problems in the future. So I think this is the main challenge. Identify the local needs and opportunities and establish the connection with the right people. I have 3 axes planned for year 25-36. Innovation, continuity, and partnership. Why? Innovation because we have an aging population. Our average age of Rotary today is 62 years. Average. So we're aging 1 year at a time. We are not growing any younger. Nobody. Nobody. That's unstable. We cannot stay from time. So we are aging and we must innovate to bring new members in. If we're able to meet that, we have to resort to different club formats. Because not everyone is interested in joining a club that requires a meeting at the local restaurant every Wednesday evening. It doesn't mean because Wednesday evening you are in your college, you are teaching, you are with your wife, and some other activity. You are traveling because you are an executive for a company. So we have to reflect and make it flexible for members to be part of the leadership. This model includes, for instance, a satellite club, which is the club that we are talking about right now. A satellite club has all the red tape, the bureaucracy that is dependent from Madison, from our headquarters, and yet it's flexible enough to do what is important, which is to deliver service to the community and to connect people with their own profit or to the profit of somebody that needs it. I don't want to monopolize the talk, but just tell you a story to make clear what I mean. I think talking is important, but doing it is a lot more important. So when I was elected in 1921, I challenged my own club. My own club is a very traditional club. 1949, 105 members strong. Very good project, ongoing, permanent project for the local community. Very well established, financially sound, good connect women into the club, different age brackets, from 80 to 35. However, I challenged my club to set up a satellite club. I was a director, so I had a powerful voice. Asked me, no, Martin. The satellite club is a second grade club. second floor. We are first floor. I said, okay, well, your wife, and your husband would like to meet in a different manner. They have been invited to join our club, and they've never accepted because they have other priorities in life. They have other children to care for. We would like to initiate a club that's more flexible, that's more fun, less formal, less protocol. They like to gather in a pizza place and have fun and hold somebody from the community to initiate a project. So reluctantly, after 1.5 years of evangelizing, wow, talking to the old guy's table. I belong to the old guy's table. So I was talking to my peers. They said, you guys have to open up your mind. There's a new model. This is not the only working model. So they said, okay, before we decline our membership, we're going to adopt the model. My wife's club today has 50 members. So we are 155 members strong. And my club is guaranteed continuity. Because even if the old guys like myself go to talk to Paul Harris in person, our continuity is guaranteed. And I've seen so many clubs die because people don't want to change, because they don't want to innovate. They want to think outside of the box. Your model is the only right model. That is a sure recipe for death. That's why I'm here today. So now we have Senator, who is a past not president, but also a person that knows a lot about the field, because as Mark said, this is the satellite club. It is migrating to a pastor club model on climate action issues. So, you are in between the two. You are a study Rotarian and also a study professional in climate activists. Once you take it from a peacemaker, what do you recommend? What are your guidelines, if you will, for a new Rotary club in climate?
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be part of this great initiative. I've been working and supporting this process for the last 20 years. And one thing for sure, I think, is that we have advanced in the way that we think about climate change, especially adaptation, and the importance of going down to the local level. That last mile of action, we were talking about big liability and the corridors, money that we especially local governments, the biggest challenge has always been how do you get that money down to the local level where the vulnerable people need it. And we are setting up a lot of modalities to allow that to happen. Rotary works at the community grassroots level, and I think that's where the great opportunity for Rotary is to take care of that last mile and participate in these global events, global agenda, and so forth. Adaptation is not something of the future anymore, and I think that we all accept and realize now that adaptation is for now. We're talking about money that will start to flow 5-10 years from now, but the cost of adaptation is not something that contributes at all. Somebody is paying right now. Either pay to loss of income, loss of protection, even to their own lives. So I think the opportunity is there now, I think, to intervene and help communities deal with crime and talk with it. And the fact that Rotary operates at the community level across the world, I think it's a very community to reach out to everyone. Everybody that we meet in the corridors are very happy to interact with each other all the time. But then you wait 6 months until you come back to the next big conference. And so it's not like that, like this offers that opportunity to continue this friendship while we're actually doing good things. So I look forward very much to publicizing this event and making sure that we get as many members as possible. There's a lot of interest out there, and I think the opportunity is there to be captured. And I hope that with growing numbers, just in a matter of weeks, we should get hundreds and hundreds of members, and then hopefully create a lot of self-love all over the world, depending on time zones, obviously, that we can start the very strong last while. Funding and opportunities to support the work is there. I think that we need to look at the detail of how to correctly find entry points into partnerships that will allow to use the project. So, Rotary, I think is there. I think we can show the way and help communities and business people and so forth. Take advantage of the service model that Rotary has to actually achieve good results. And very successful.
We have this thing of Rotarian here, but we are all Rotarians. And the ones that are of the company, they say that the most the happiest day of a Rotary club is when a new member comes in. So we are a charitable club. We are multiple times happy to bring in Islam, to bring in Paul, to bring in Steve, to bring in Tom, to bring in Tim. Your name is so difficult to pronounce. I promise that among the fellows of the Rotary Club, we need to know every one of us by the first name, which is a tradition in Rotary. Diego has been waiting for opportunity to become a real Rotarian. You know, this guy has been invited to a Southern Night Club on March. He has been invited to a club on the environment. Now he's been invited to a club of financial, but he's not famous. We have a bunch of people with music here. And then we have other people that are inspiration for us. And I want to learn from my partner in the committee that made possible the participation of ESRAC. From the Rotary side, from the ESRAC side, our dear friend and fellow Salvador Rico. Salvador, come here. Salvador is an inspiration. You can tell us why this is Rotary. How are you, Salvador?
This is the simple Rotarian. That's all. Why are we here? We care about the environment. We have reached a lot of challenges. We overcame a lot of challenges to be able to make it happen. And I want to say thank you to Miros, to the organization Blacha for being so patient and working with us on this challenge here. But I want to share just a small story of why I'm not Rotarian. In 2007, I was invited to join Rotary. And the gentleman that came over to me, he says, "Do you know about Rotary?" I said, "Of course I do. I know that there are Mazda cars that XR7 that have the Rotary engine in it. That's what you're talking about, right?" I said, "No. Rotary International. They dedicated themselves at that time, and still is, the flagship is polio eradication." I said, "Really? How can I help you? I want to join that." I says, "I haven't even told you the whole thing. How come you want to join?" So because my older sister died of polio. So any organization in the world that is helping eradicate polio, I'm going to help them. But later, I found out that polio expands and it gets spread in pieces through sewage, through dirty water, rivers. And that's how I became involved in doing river cleanup projects in 2009, way before we had the environment as the area of focus for Rural International. And I shared with Mario yesterday and shared with Alberto, I'm no stranger to challenges. And I did presentations about environment in many different Rotary clubs across the line up until 2021. More times actually I was asked to leave because they didn't care about the environment. But I didn't see it as a bad thing. I saw it as an opportunity to educate them, to share with them the importance of taking care of the environment. And slowly, a lot of people changed their views and started doing environment projects, started sponsoring us. Many of them actually donated to us to be here. So, I commend all of you for being here. Again, thanks again to Watcher, Neros, to this guy over here, which I could not bring you the pin, the Paul Harris pin, because he didn't arrive. It's in California. He's going to present him a certificate of Paul Harris Fellow Class 4. But you have it. I'll send it to you via the mail. But that's a recognition of all the hard work. The gentleman over here lost a lot of hair, as you can see. He was full all the way to here up until we started doing this trek. So don't worry, buddy. So thank you, everybody.
Let's go to a second round. How, from the Rotary perspective, we got to this point. We talk about how a club gets started, what are the driving principles, some inspirational stories, and guess what? Rotary is about inspiration, right? We're inspired. We inspire each other to serve. Let's talk a little bit about the area of focus, we call it area of focus of the cost of the environment and how it got started. Smiley, you were involved in this. So please tell us from the leadership perspective, how come we became so late in Rotary, 120 years old, after 1992 conference in Rio that was playing to all society was sustainability was about. How come Rotary only 10 years ago was coming into considering environment as an area of focus?
Here's a little bit of history that's interesting. There was a Brazilian Rotary International president, 1990 to 1991. 1 year before he was his name was Paulo Filiato Correia Acosta. He was from Santos, Brazil, and he had a program called Preserve Planet Earth. I'm talking about 1990. The environment was not even an issue. Not many people were thinking of environment in 1990. This guy was a visionary. And he had a program called Preserve Planet Earth, which incentivized trees, growing new trees. When I became a trustee of the Rotary Foundation in 2015, I said, why don't we revive? Why don't we renew that Preserve Planet Earth program with a focus on the environment? I'm talking about 2015. So a group of trustees of the Rotary Foundation, which is the organization that holds the money, the real money is with the Rotary Foundation. We said, yeah, let's talk about environment. We could feel a growing pressure from the top. We then had 6 areas of interest, which we call areas of focus. Literacy or illiteracy, microeconomics, economics at family level, disease prevention and treatment,
child and maternal health. We had peace, peace scholars like Diego. And we had a sixth area of focus. I cannot remember right now. We had 6 areas of interest, which received the money from the Rotary Foundation to fund projects. So we started discussing about environment. Oh, water and sanitation, which gave birth to the environment. But in the Rotary Foundation, we don't do anything based on feelings. We have to do some research. We have to do some inquiry with the Rotarians. So what we did is we did an inquiry with 1,500 people online. Not too extensive. Rotarians, rural actors, young, soon to be Rotarians, people outside of Rotary in our age, 30 plus, and younger people who have never heard of Rotary 30 under. So those were the 4 audience. And the question was, if you were to join a nonprofit organization, what would be the main area of interest in this organization that would attract you? Out of the 4 answers, very expected, Rotarians voted for polio, because that's our corporate program. The other 3 audiences voted for environment, including Rotary. So I said, well, this is the science. These are the data that we need to formulate, to substantiate our area of focus. So we started discussing. It was approved by the Board of Trustees and eventually by the Board of Directors. So that's the history behind the add-on, the inclusion of environment as an area of focus for the Rotary Foundation. We already have the expertise, we have the Washer team that is moving those who are interested into SRAP, environmental sustainability, Rotary action groups, to provide content, to provide knowledge, to provide connection. So this is the history behind the adoption of the Senate area of focus of Rotary. Hearing, having the interest of the environment. We see a growing interest in clubs. And I think the next step is to incorporate the environment and issues into the other areas of focus. For instance, does environment have to do with the literacy? Does environment connect with education? Does environment connect with microeconomics? Does environment connect with water and sanitation? So I think this is the next step moving forward. How are we going to add on some environmentally connected, environmentally jobs, questions when you define a project? If a project has environmental impact, Rotary Foundation do not care about it. Or it's not even into the analysis. I think it's being considered now. Whatever you're doing with the project and receiving dollars from the Rotary Foundation, environment is being considered a factor to be thought, to be pondered, to be analyzed. I thought I would give you that information so you know where all this came from. Well, in the same how climate action calling to the overall focus.
One of the most recent developments is to look at climate studies. It is no longer just an environmental issue. It actually, as Mario said, connects with water, sanitation, health, and everything else. And that's the approach that governments are starting to take now, is how climate change has an impact on economic development, social and so forth. So there is every attempt to look at programming and actions that have much benefits to climate change. But a lot of people don't go to bed worrying about the climate change, they worry about having enough food for obviously a major risk factor, a major cause of concern, but it also provides opportunities to tap into resources and activities that perhaps will not be available for most of the rural and vulnerable communities. So there is a lot of effort to try to reach the most vulnerable. And we have programs that we have target the most vulnerable countries, in this case, some of the least developed countries, world, also in Africa, with some of the Pacific Islanders, and the Free Asia and so forth. We also target within that indigenous communities, local communities, etc., that are not as well connected to government flows of finance. So there are multiple layers of classification, who's most vulnerable and who deserves to be assisted. I think the world is responding by creating communities that address that, but also create a social council. That's what the whole of it is, to ensure that everybody creates those opportunities for themselves, livelihood improve, fathers and grandfathers of some of us, and we see actually grow up and then become useful citizens and contribute to society. So the value system is gradually shifting towards ensuring that there's equity, that there's justice for everybody, considerations and so forth into the work that we do. So Rotary, I think, will naturally embrace all of these and put that into action and focusing on the local level and the welfare of everybody. Not one person at a time. We can't solve the global problem all at once, but we can do it. And gradually build out the course of action that we can see. So we have how we can separate from humanitarian service, how all these things are connected, the story how we got environment, and now we are trying to get climate into our humanitarian service. But there's one piece of Mario's priorities. He said, in order for making locally relevant and grow, we need to have partnerships, we need to have continuity, and we need to have innovation. There are many forms of innovation, but I want to invite somebody in particular to talk about innovation, digital innovation at the service of climate action. And as you have heard in some of the press conferences here that we have held on behalf of the pavilion, the last mile of humanitarian science. But the digital innovation, how does the digital innovation come to Rotary? I want to hear that from one of our new Rotarians into this club, Milo Olsen.
Thank you, Alberto. Here, Rotarians, we are delighted, fellow Rotarians, we are delighted to welcome you here at this Digital Innovation Pavilion. This Digital Innovation Pavilion is a space for digital solution providers to bring solutions and that we all together see how we can accelerate the effective response to global challenges. And here, of course, briefly digital innovation, digital public infrastructure, which is our focus. It's about identities, digital self-sovereign identities that we are planning to develop, global challenges, action registries, geospatial tools, digital finance tools. And for us, having here Rotary, really this powerful force for the common good on the local and global levels is really a blessing. It's a big opportunity. And I think that if we work together, we can cross-pollinate, we can really help create synergies. And because Rotary is a decentralized system, and it's very difficult for a Rotarian in a certain place to know what is happening, sometimes even 100 kilometers away in different club or so. And if we set up these digital identity systems, share the standards for reporting and getting verified and documented and certified action for climate or other SDGs, and we put it in the Global Challenges Action Registry, then this is information resource, and with blockchain technology we can handle it, and people then they remain the owners of the data. They say with who they want to share the data. But in general, the opportunity we have that we really then know as a global community who is doing what, where, how, with what kind of activities, what kind of resources, and what kind of outcomes. And with this kind of information system, information ecosystem, we as global community can really respond as like an organism to the challenges of our time. And one element which is also very important are resources. And here I also count that we will work together on the joint resource mobilization, because we need to bring to the local level action resources from the global level. There's the Green Climate Fund, there are global philanthropy resources like the Giving Pledge. Bill Gates said he will distribute $200 billion within the next 20 years. But if there is not this capillary system, sometimes of mycelium, somehow the nerve system down to the local level, then the money is not flowing. And people on the ground, they are doing great work, but they are under-resourced and sometimes self-exploiting also. We have to prepare livelihoods for those who are caring for the common good. And with digital public infrastructure, we will work with Rotary and with other partners. Sol was over here. She is also part of these who are going to develop solutions. There's also the TFF, is Trees for the Future Forever Fund. There will be 10 billion, I think, are pledged now. In the future, it will be 100 billion, and we need to channel the money down to the guardians of the forest, indigenous people, or whoever it is. And this will only function with digital innovation. And the opportunities are huge. And together we are strong.
How do we get those partnerships that we were talking about? I think we have a good example with the Gates Foundation. My only concern is that we don't have this Gates Foundation. My biggest challenge would be, I was always asking the board of directors, the board of trustees, which is the next Gates Foundation for us? We shouldn't be limited to just one partner. What was the Gates Foundation looking for when they partnered with us 15 years ago? More, almost 20 years ago. They were looking for accountability. They have the money. They don't have the people that we have. I was in a debate with, as a trustee, a similar debate like this with our partners in 2017 at the Rotary International Convention in Atlanta, Georgia. And partners on the table, Paul, were the chair of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, the UNICEF, the WHO, the Gates Foundation. At that time, we didn't have the Gavi Alliance as our partner. So I asked the Gates Foundation chair, the CEO, who happened to be a woman at that time, and I asked her, I said, why do you give us $100 million every year? You could give it to anybody else. There are lots of people, lots of government, lots of agencies, lots of programs. Why do you give it to us? And she said, because I don't have 1.2 million volunteers. You guys work for free. And I know that people that work for free, they are accountable for the money that I give you. You don't want to see any waste because you are not getting any financial benefit out of the money that I give you. Because you work for free, you're volunteers. I cannot pay for the billions of dollars that I have in my coffers. I cannot pay for 1.2 million volunteers. Work out. Because I was a very smart person and brought on me a reflection and said, our real asset is not the money. Our asset is the people that we have. The credibility that precedes them. No, we have not been involved in any major scandal of money laundering, money malfeasance, financial malfeasance, or financial wrongdoing. We've not done that. And that has brought us here the merit to be the recipient of $100 million donation every single year. Make no mistake, they audit us. They don't take it for granted that we are utilizing the money wisely and properly. The Rotary Foundation has an audit system by itself, but they audit us also. And they audit UNICEF, they audit WHO, they audit every single partner, which is the recipient of our money. And we have been honoring that donation for the last almost 20 years. So this is what we're looking for: credibility, accountability, responsibility, and results. They keep track of our results. They monitor the data. They supply the information. They know what the last enclave of polio virus are in Afghanistan, down to the village level. They monitor the data with them. Transparency, a key element when you're establishing partnership. That's what I thought then as President was, that we should bring, given those positive aspects that we have, why don't we have more partners like the Gates Foundation? Gates is not the only one who has a lot of money. We just came across the Hewlett Foundation and the Packard Foundation. HP Hewlett Packard, the founders of the company have two separate institutions that have a lot more money than the Rotary Foundation does. We take great pride, truly take great pride, because we have amassed $2.25 billion US in assets. Gates Foundation has 45 billion. Harvard has 45 billion. The Emirate of Dubai, has a foundation that's worth 10 billion euros. Why not we partner with them? That was my question. So I think it's our challenge to replicate the formula that has worked with the Gates Foundation.
reference, a good reference for you. That's it.
Oh, what about the scenario? What about the climate change? How will the climate change, in your opinion, as a Rotarian, and a person that knows about this, how the climate change set Rotary clubs, districts, SREC as a partner for doing some of the things that we already do to bring climate action to communities, but through Rotary clubs with a helping hand. Well, how do you think that is that possible? How could it happen?
That's a very good question. Climate funds will never generate enough money to address the adaptation needs of the country. So what they do is to set the standard, the best practice on how to do adaptation, how to set up the institutional arrangements and the funding arrangements and so forth, and create the initial seed money that can be blended with other sources. So we're increasing attempt to see how to multiply that money with private sector contributions and local sources and so forth. So perhaps one way to do it is to look at opportunities where the climate funds provide the methodologies, the approaches, and also address the problem. The initial seed money that's guarantees to involve other partners that will come in and scale up that funding. I think the period of grants from the international community is perhaps gradually disappearing. So what we're seeing is there's a lot of blending, there's a lot of mix of resources, some grant funding, institutional concessional lending, with the whole field of innovative finance where we see as many actors as possible to come up with new ways of creating capital for the projects that are good. It's largely the fact that you made available at the local level in a large number of countries, I think provides opportunities to create that executing entity for some of those projects. Rotary perhaps will not be able to go directly and invest this money, but in partnership with regional and international organizations, UN and so forth, there are lots of possibilities to have partner and create projects that provide that initial seed and we can multiply it with other sources of funding. So I hope that we're going to find ways in which at the regional level, at the country level, we can find partners and are able to access international funds and make that to execute on the ground, especially reaching the people of the community.
Okay. Well, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So Rotary could be useful.
I believe so. I mean, the fact that we work at the local level, I think that that's where the whole system is trying to achieve, is to create all this money, channel it through micro actions, and basically reach people at the grassroots level. And Rotary is there. So I think that that's the connection we need to cultivate and find a way to make it work.
Excellent. Any Rotary Club meeting at the end has the opportunity for all the fellows to speak, to ask questions, to expose, to do some exposition about any subject, like related or not to the themes that we are addressing. I want to open the floor to you, you, the new Rotarians of the Rotary Club of Climate Action, to answer the questions to these gentlemen, to these great fellows. Say that, say there. Oh, I got it right.
No, so I'm looking at this, and the Brazilian government is bringing up a different investment to get things really been championing bioeconomy. And we're talking about synergies between the conventions, especially when they're saying that companies and communities are at the forefront of implementation. How is there no opportunity like to not just focus on climate action, but also bring the real conversations that we can drive a more holistic approach when it comes to driving interventions, but also resource mobilization. I think that's a question. Can we not leverage, can we not be more efficient? Thank you.
That's a good question. I think the opportunities are there to cultivate any opportunity to mobilize financing. I think the challenge is always what Mario referred to, accountability. So we have to make sure that there are systems in place in the communities we work with that are able to receive money, account for it, as well as actually produce results. So it's easier said than taking the large amount of money that flows into communities. Some of it results in outputs, gets lost along the way. I think the opportunity now is to create those arrangements, these governance systems down to the local level to be able to receive money and spend it and account for it. To assure and giving the money that this is money that we're not just throwing away, but it's actually money that will result in the intended benefits. There are various levels of funding, obviously, there's quite huge amounts of money that flow, and then those are harder to actually spend and quantify. But at the community level, I don't think we need to pour hundreds of millions of dollars. I think we need to gradually scale up that amount of money to create the capacity to absorb and turn money into useful benefits. What we see at these meetings is a proliferation of initiatives that are launched. Everybody wants to create a collaboration with multiple actors and so forth. At the end of the day, it just creates an increase in the complexity for poor communities to access funding. And you're going to hear a lot of complaints from developing countries about complexity of accessing money. It's not so much that money is not available, but to access it, it does take 2, 3 to 5 years to write, fill out forms, etc., and account for it. So you're going to find easy ways of accessing money, spending it, accounting for it. And once you show results, more money comes. The example of the Gates Foundation is that if they didn't keep giving money to Rotary, if they were not sure that the quality of the service, the quality of results from the money that they've been given. And once you show and demonstrate that you're able to use money effectively, more money comes for.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions? Any other? Saul?
I have just a quick question. Do you believe that the UNFCCC or the official system is open to digital innovation and technologies that might help to close the gap or accelerate the allocation of funds, the process? And if so, could maybe possibly members of the Digital Innovation Pavilion and partners through here be able to have a pathway to present ideas that they might not be aware of, that we might be able to either bring their attention to or develop? Thank you.
We're a very wide open system where different actors come and present ideas to other parties and so forth. And I think it's a no-brainer that digitalization is the way to enable quite a large range of services and development. So I think it's wide open. Most of the development world is trying to get into the digital world, applying mobile phones and so forth, but it's bigger than that. And that everybody being registered and accounted for, it enables a whole range of services. So there's no question about it. I think we do need to scale it up to a point where now everybody has access to digital tools and they're not left behind. So no brainer.
Excellent. We got one more question, one more opportunity remaining.
So I recall to the last sentence that you've been saying, leave no one behind. So I would is a comment more than a question. I'm very happy that today Rotary has launched this Rotary Graph of Climate Action because Rotary
needs to be climate action, but as well climate action needs Rotary. And I will explain why. Here we are talking about climate and so on and so forth, but we have always to remember we want the climate. Sometimes talking about ecological transition and climate transition, we can run into too much technocratic discussion. Indeed, Rotary can bring the point of view of the philanthropy and the point of view of more human-centric transition. And I want to say not anthropocentric, okay? Human-centric means that we have to consider the most disadvantaged people, that are the also one most ignorant. And so I really thank the effort that we are doing, Berto, Mario, and Paul, because again, I will start as I will finish this start. Rotary needs to be in climate action, but climate action needs some work. Thank you.
Yeah, like I would say, besides people, our second asset, people and credibility, given 120 years of history that we have. The other asset that we must sell is ubiquity. We are everywhere. We are not far. We are very close. We're in 45,000 outlets spread around the world. Tell me one single institution that reaches out to 45,000 different outlets in the world with the same unified message. I partner every time I went as president-elect to talk to government. They said, we need you because you have clubs where we don't reach. You are in southern Italy. You are in Uganda. You are in Brazil. You are in Southwest USA. You are in Belgium. You are in India. I visited places in India which I never dreamt of. But is there a Rotary Club here? The countryside of India. Not Delhi, not Mumbai, but Madurai, the heart of the country. So we bring value to the equation. We bring work. We'll work at something because we can reach people with a single message. Not even governments sometimes succeed in doing it. I think this is what we bring to the table, besides people and credibility. In a strong moment of truth, the question is simple. After what you have heard, who is convinced that you want to be part of the Rotary Club of climate action? Raise your hands. Not the eyes, your hands. Mario, I think I will have quorum. We have quorum because the minimum number for being part of the Rotary Club of climate action is 8. I had to count Sol was also very committed and stayed. And so I guess we have more than 8. So welcome to the new club, the Rotary Club of Climate Action. If you can stay in a chair for 1 hour listening to 2 Rotarians, you are qualified. But in any Rotary meeting, we end up with a program, and we ran out of time. Do we have another session? Okay. So we have about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we wanted to present all of you to offer a gift to you, the gift of music of our peace fellow Diego Carneiro. And Diego, I don't want to introduce you. I want you to introduce yourself and what you have been doing in Ecuador, in Belém, in Ecuador, and in other places with the partnership with Rotary, but also what Diego has been doing in Amazon. And I invite Paul and Mario to be part of the floor so we can do Diego. And please don't go away because we need to take the picture. Hi. Thank you very much, Alberto and Miro, for the opportunity. And it's really an honor for me to be part of today's it's the first session. And it's an honor also to meet again Mario, who's here in the main where I come from. And I will go to a piece that is inspired in the Amazon region. Like something similar last time. I was born here, therefore I was inspired to do something about my region through music. Music can be like if you see the Amazon River, you have many branches or creeks, you probably say arms, leaves, we say arms in Portuguese. And music can be like that in different ways as a solution for many conflicts and problems that humanity has. I created Amazon Arts many years ago. We brought many volunteers here, many people to work together to support the region. Then I created Orchestrating Peace in Florida with Florida Rotarians and Friends of Music in the Americas with some Rotarians in DC. And then I became a Rotary Peace Fellow and I finished this year my studies in peace building and conflict resolution at Makerere University in Uganda. Everybody, so, yeah, my home. But through Rotary and as a peace fellow and musician, I've been in many countries this year. India, almost and a half, Sri Lanka, Emirates, Africa, in different places, Canada, etc. So, apart from playing the cello, I've been creating many opportunities to think and bridge between a sports dimension to a more emotional dimension. And that's very important because it's the way we connect to people and actually have the right attitude to make decisions, in my opinion. We find common grounds that we can work together. Every time I played here, we had some people singing there. I don't know if that's you right? You are about to arrange that. What should I do? Mira, do you still have like, I cannot stop, right? I'm not stop, but wait for, right? Right. It's slowing down, right? Yeah, okay. What I thought of showing to you. I thought in the piece that are going to prize the Chicago is here. It's called the Amazonian Elegy. It talks about some endangered species in the Amazon and the legends. So I'm going to make it quick for you to make it short version. I'm going to short version here. For me, if you go around the Amazonian, the islands, you can find the water, you can feel the water. You feel like
And for me, I realized that sound, when you're silent, you can hear the world like this. So I imagine myself navigating the water in the sound. Then I have got three birds that I call who is a blue antbird and the Triton. But I also have the jaguar, which integrates the whole symphony and brings a bit of drama and also a dimension of fear. But then we've got the boat, which it's the pink dolphin from the Amazon region. And that's a legend that you can find in different ways, variations in the Amazon. Like Brazil has 90 something percent of the Amazon. Ecuador, where I have a foundation, has 1% and has the biggest biodiversity per square meter, meters. So my English sometimes confused with my Portuguese. So the legend goes that a fish comes from the dolphin comes out of the river. A tall man comes out like me, tall man, like Mario and Alberto. I wish I could be that size one day. But in any case, it comes and enchants people, human in that case. And the ladies, they get pregnant and they say, in the short version, Father, I'm pregnant, so I need, the father says, you have to leave home. And then she says, it is the bottle, it is the dolphin, the pink dolphin. So the whole idea of dancing together with enchants, it's a very magical, mysterious story. I will try to reproduce. So please keep with me here in the, imagine we are in the silence mode. So I'm gonna play that for you to the cello. It's a very good, I improvise using those bird calls. Things that everybody sees, I think, I'm not sure if you know that piece, but in Rotary, I play quite often this piece. Let me get people now. Let the peace be on earth. Muito bom. Finalizando com a linda Rússia, aquarela do Brasil. Well, fellows, this marks the end of our session. We don't want to leave here without a group picture, which is going to go into the websites of ESRAC, of the pavilion, and of course, the partner club, the sponsor club, Rotary Club Brazil International. We thank you for being here. Thank you, Mario, for your prestigious presence. Thank you, Paul, for all your support, all what you do for all of us from the Secretariat, and of course from Rotary Bond International. And thank you to everybody. Oh, by the way, we have Rotaractors here. We have our Rotex. You know what Rotex is? She's returning exchange student, and this is the way they
they dress. They bring their blazer with all the pins. So that is a tradition in the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. Where do you go to do the exchange? Japan? Oh, Germany. Germany. You are from South Africa. You see, about 8,000 of cats, that's your name, 8,000 cats around the world. Every year they do an exchange program. So you are our really pride for the Rotarians and Rotaractors. And we are so glad to see a Rotex coming into a Rotary Club. Thank you very much. Don't go away without being here for taking the picture with President Mario and with Paul.
Come on, guys. Let's put the picture.